So this is 3.3 part B. This is what was left over, I guess, from 3.3. We didn't want to teach it all in one day because there's so much to 3.3. Anyways, so this says graphing a linear function in function notation. So here's my linear function. F of x equals 2x plus 5. Hopefully you can see that. Now, when I graph this, or when I have this function, there are a bunch of different ways that you can graph it, but how Big Ideas wants me to teach you how to graph it is to make a t-table. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to put an x here, and then f of x, right? Now, when you graph something like this, you can choose any x values you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my equation, and I notice that these are whole numbers. They're not fractions, okay? And yeah, when I multiply by 2 and then add 5, there's really not much going on here. So what I am actually going to do is I'm going to put a -1, a 0, and a 1. Now, this is why. I'll tell you why. I want to see what's happening on the left-hand side of my y-axis, what's happening on the y-axis, and then what's happening on the right-hand side of my y-axis. So when I choose my x values, I always want to choose a negative, the 0, and a positive. I always choose the 0 because, well, anything times 0 is pretty easy to figure out. So I do that. But then, again, I always try to choose a negative number, and I try to choose a positive number. Now, depending on what my coefficient is or what the number in front of x is, that will usually make me choose the negative and positive number differently, again, depending on what the coefficient is. Anyways, all right, so my f equals 2 plus 5. And if you don't have to write all of this out if you don't need to, I am just writing it all out so that you can see what my math brain, what's happening inside my math brain. So really, I'm just annotating so that you can see, well, it's really kind of a think aloud, what's really going on here. Oops, sorry, so sorry. So this is all I did. I took my function, right? And wherever I saw an x, I put a -1. Then I started over. Took my function wherever I saw where I saw an x, I put a 0, and then I put a 1. So my domain in this case is -1, 0, 1. Now I know that this is going to be a line because it's a linear function. So here we go. 2 times -1 is -2, plus 5 gives me a 3. 0 plus 5 gives me a 5, and 2 plus 5 gives me a 7. All right, no problem. Now, to plot that. Now, first of all, let's put these in some ordered pairs. Remember that f of x just equals y. So when I graph that, this is x and this is y, right? So if I had some ordered pairs, this would be -1, 3, 0, 5, and 1, 7. So those are my ordered pairs. So I'm just going to go ahead and plot those. So -1 up 3. 1, 2, 3. There's 1. Over 0 up 5. That's 3, 4, 5. And then over 1 up 7. 5, 6, 7. That looks promising. Okay. So I'm going to take my handy dandy straight edge. You can use your pass or whatever you have. And there is my linear function. The name of this line is f of x equals 2x plus 5. Okay, so let's recap on what I did here. Zoom out a little bit. So what did I do? I took the function, plugged in 3 separate x values to come up with 3 separate y values, right? Created an ordered pair for each x value. I got a y value, and that's how I got my ordered pair. And then I plotted each ordered pair, and then I drew my line. Okay? How about you try that for number 5? Please understand that these right here, these numbers, I pulled out of the air. You can choose any numbers you want for your x values, okay? So try number 5 on your own. I'm hoping that you have paused the video, but I want to do this because I'm not sure that you have had enough practice, okay? So what I'm doing, again, is I'm -1, 0, and 1. I always choose 3 numbers, even though it only takes 2 numbers to plot a point. But I'm going to do this silently, as you don't really need me to talk to do this. Shh. Okay, be careful when you do this because I have a negative, which gives me a positive, all right? Now, if I write these as ordered pairs, and you, again, do not have to do this step, but just so you know, this right here is an ordered pair, x comma y, -1 comma 5. That's your first ordered pair. 0 comma 4, there's your next ordered pair. 1 comma 3, that is your last ordered pair. So I'm going to graph this now. -1, 1. I don't know why. Okay. Okay. So there are my dots. I'm going to take my straight edge. And y, I am so sorry, f of x, oh, this is a g, just kidding, g of x equals -x plus 4. That's the name of my line. Okay? Hopefully you got that. And yeah, cheers.